Hello and welcome to the Raptors Extra Life Charity Live Stream Gaming Marathon. I'm Drew Hahn. I'm from My.com and I'm the Senior Community Manager for World of Speed. And I just wanted to start off by saying I'm super excited to be part of the this charity event, and big congrats to Raptor for putting this together. So without any further ado, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to what we have planned for this live stream. It is Raptor's live stream, and we are just participating. So we do encourage everybody to not only watch, but donate to this great charity. As you may not know, all the proceeds of this event will go to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So if you want to donate, and we really do encourage you guys to donate, please go to extra-life.org/team/Raptor. Yeah, you got really kind of get out there, guys. We want to raise as much money as we can. And we also wanted to mention that if you go to Raptor's team page, which is the URL I just told you, there you can enter into raffles where you can win a gaming PC thanks to the generosity of AMD Radeon, CyberPower PC, Gigabit, XFX, Astro, and more. So definitely head over there, enter for your chance to win a gaming PC, and show your generosity by donating. Today I'm going to be talking about World of Speed, and if you guys don't know it, I'm just going to give you guys a quick introduction to it. So World of Speed is a brand new free-to-play PC online racing game, and it's really a racing MMO. It's being developed by Slightly Mad Studios, which is a UK-based development team, and they've been building racing games for almost well over a decade now. They've worked on really big franchises such as Test Drive. They rejuvenated the Need for Speed series with the Shift and Shift 2. They've got their upcoming game that looks amazing, Project Cars. And World of Speed is really kind of their foray into the free-to-play space and an arcade-style racing game. So they've really worked on a lot of simulation racing games before, and World of Speed is going to be an action racing game with and it should be a lot of fun. So what we're going to be showing you guys today is we got 3 different races. We've got a race on London, one of our tracks. We've got our basically going to be the first look at the California Highway location, and we've got a team race in where's the other one, on Silverstone. So I don't want to spend too much time talking. I will be here to answer some questions, so if you guys have any questions, please enter them into the chat, and we'll answer as many as possible. We would prefer that you post them in English, since I don't speak Russian. I see a lot of Russian posts there, and I do apologize for not speaking that. And if you guys are watching the stream, you should know that we are giving away beta keys for World of Speed. The beta will begin sometime during the 4th quarter of 2014. This is your chance to grab the first beta keys that we've released to date. So just keep watching the chat, and when you see a beta key pop up, head over to worldofspeed.com, log in with your My.com account, hit the redeem code button in your profile box, and if you're the first one to get that code, then you're in the beta. So we got 30 keys to give away, and I think this stream we're going to be on for about 30 minutes to show you guys all this race and answer you guys' questions. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So this first video is a practice race on our London track. It's actually our Buckingham Palace route within London, and we've got team racing and solo racing. You're going to see multiple cars in this. This is actually a solo race with it's really more of a free-for-all. So here we go. All right. So as you can see here, at the top of the screen, you're going to see 4 individual HUD elements, which are basically your solo objectives. So in World of Speed, there is team racing and solo racing. There's going to be plenty to do for people who want to be in solo mode or be part of a team and race. But all of the game modes, well, the majority of the game modes are centered around this objective systems that we've put in. And objectives are really kind of mini goals within the race that give you points and will help you determine who is the victor of the race. In World of Speed, really, being the first across the finish line doesn't guarantee your victory anymore. It's about how many points that you can get throughout the race by completing these objectives. As you can see in this race, some of the objectives that you have to do are to slide around the corner, or drift around a corner for a certain amount and gain a certain amount of points, or to draft an opponent for a certain amount of time, master the track for a certain percentage of the whole track, which means that you have to stay on the racing line. You have to head into the corners with optimal speed and keep your grip and come out on the apex. There are other objectives in the game that are a little bit more dirty, like there's dirty overtake, trading paint, which is always a lot of fun for some players, maybe not so much for other players. We've got a huge list of objectives, and it really kind of comes into play a whole lot more during team races, and we're going to go into that a little bit later in the next video that I'm going to show you guys. But for now, we'll just enjoy these guys racing on our London track. One of the cool things in World of Speed is the cars and the locations. Now, with the locations, we're going to have a mix of licensed circuits from around the world, places like Silverstone, Bathurst, Brands Hatch, but we're also going to have real city locations, and these are places that you really wish that you could race in real life, but you're never going to be able to. Like, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to race through right in front of the Buckingham Palace, and the Slightly Mad Studios development team has gone out to a whole bunch of locations around the world, spent a lot of time in those locations, taking a whole ton of reference video and photos, and really kind of tried to create the funnest tracks possible in these locations. So some of the locations that we've announced are London, Moscow, the California Highway, which we're going to show you in a couple minutes. We have other locations planned that we are already working on now that we haven't announced, that will come in after the game launches. So it's going to be a ton of fun. In terms of cars, we're not really boasting World of Speed in terms of the number of cars that are in the game. Our philosophy on cars is that we are going to have the cars that you want to drive in our game. And that really kind of goes into the way that we actually categorize our cars too. When you're talking with a buddy and you're like, what type of cars do you like? Your buddy's not going to turn around and be like, oh, I like Class A or Tier 1 cars or this and that. They're going to talk about cars in terms of like, oh, I like Japanese tuners, or I like old classic muscle cars, or I'm only an exotics fan. And that's really the way that we've classified the car in the game. So when you're in the game and looking for a car, you're going to be looking at them through categories like city runners, coupes, tuners, retro cars, exotic supercars, and that sort of classification, which kind of makes it a lot easier to find the cars, but it's also a little bit more engaging. Alright, so I did talk through that entire video, and I do hope that you guys enjoyed that solo race, but for now I hope that that you guys have a couple questions for me to answer. And let me just look through the chat here to see if you guys have anything for me to answer here. Okay. So one of the questions is, are we going to repost this stream for people who haven't seen it? Yes, we're going to try. Let's see where. Okay, so I don't see any questions. So one of the questions here is about cheating in free-to-play games, and let's be honest, this is a reality that every game team has to face, and Slightly Mad Studios, we're going to be doing everything that we can to prevent cheating in the game. We will not be talking about our anti-cheating countermeasures publicly, just because we don't want to give the people who actually make the cheats any sort of potential information that would allow them to circumvent some of our anti-cheating countermeasures. So that's how that's going to work in that respect. Now, in terms of naming and shaming known cheaters, this is something that's being discussed on our forums right now, and it's something that the team we're kind of really torn about. And if you want to head over to our forums right now, you can. The link is on the top bar on worldofspeed.com. We'd love to hear your opinion on whether we should be whether naming shaming is something that's acceptable or not in this kind of day and age. So we'd love to hear you guys' opinion about it. Head over there now and tell us. Another question that we have is, what are the system requirements for the game? So I can say that we have not announced the system requirements yet. They have not been fully locked down. I can tell you that the game is being built on Slightly Mad Studios engine. Sorry, should have muted my phone. Is being built on their Madness engine, which is also the engine that Project Cars is running on. But one of the really nice things about that engine, besides the fact that it's awesome, is that it's built to be scalable. So if you have like a mega PC rig with 4 Titan cards, it'll use all that power and make the game look as amazing as possible. But if you have just an everyday laptop that you go to class with, the engine will scale back to a point where it should be able to run the game smoothly. But again, this is something that we're still working through, and we'll be announcing the system requirements sometime during our closed beta testing. Okay, again, guys, just wanted to remind everybody to show your generosity and donate to the team. So our donation URL is extra-life.org/team/raptor. All proceeds go to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, so please show you guys' generosity. Okay, so the next video that we're going to show you, so this is going to be a long one. It's about 8 minutes long. It's our first look at the California Highway track in World of Speed. And this track, I've had the pleasure of being able to race a lot of the tracks, obviously, before the community has, and it's really kind of very akin to the Nürburgring in the way that it's a really long track. It's the beginning section of it is just packed with tons of tight turns, a lot of corners to master, and then it really opens up that and lets you really kind of push your car to the absolute limit. So you're going to need a really well balanced car for this track. But I shouldn't talk any longer. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to try not to talk as much as I did during that first video. There are a few things that I want to tell you guys about, but at the same time I do want to let you guys kind of enjoy the video and check it out. And again, I encourage everyone to post your questions into the live stream chat here so we can answer them in between this video and the next video. Okay, so in the last video we showed, it was a solo race with other players and with solo objectives that you had to do. This is a straight up team race, and again, the objectives really come into play. And as I said before, being the first to cross the finish line does not guarantee your victory. In team racing, it really is truly all about the team. Yes, it is important to be the first person to cross the finish line, as it does give your team additional points and can help you get the victory, but it's not the only way to win. So as you can see at the top, there are 4 different objectives, and they're kind of split to how each team is doing it at completing those objectives. And you can also see that while you're racing, the avatar of the person going after that objective, which means that they are actively going towards it or they are in a slide, it shows up, so it shows you who you can potentially go after to try to prevent them from completing their objectives. So you're you're going to have a bunch of different objectives during races that are really contradictory to each other. So you may have a objective that states, you have to master 75% of the racing line. And you may also have an objective that says you have to take 4 shortcuts. Well, obviously you can't master the racing line if you're leaving the racing line to take the shortcuts, which is really where the team play kind of comes into it. You're going to need a guy who's going to be just sticking to the racing line and trying to get first place while having a teammate that's going after the shortcut objectives. And you're going to see this quite often, where you're going to have the objectives like drafting, where you're going to have someone who has to stick behind you, and then you have someone who has a trading paint objective, which means that you're going to have an opposing racer who's trying to knock you off from drafting someone, and which also gives them their objective. So it's really a lot of cat and mouse in this, where you can either choose to just ignore the other team and go after objectives, or you can choose to be that one that's kind of banging around and trying to prevent your opposing team from completing their objectives, and it's a lot of fun. And it really kind of complements the customization system that we've made in World of Speed. So Slightly Mad Studios has taken kind of a different approach to the way we do our customization, and it's really heavily inspired by how systems similar to that work in typical MMO. So starting with the visual customization, World of Speed is going to offer everything that you would expect to see. You're going to be able to change your rims, change your paint, create your own liveries with our vinyl and decal editor. You're going to be able to swap body parts like hoods, skirts, front bumpers, rear bumpers, add a spoiler. All that sort of stuff's going to be in there. And we've actually even thrown in a couple little extra ones too, where you can change the shape of your light and other small little options like that we haven't really gone into a ton of detail about yet, but we will hopefully soon. But it's we want to give everybody the ability to express themselves and their creativity as much as possible through the visual customization system. One important note about the visual customization is that it does not affect the car's performance. So putting a spoiler on does not give you additional grip or handling. And the reason behind that is we looked at a lot of other games that had customization in it that had where the visuals affected the car's performance, and we found that once you got to like the top tiers of racing, all the cars just basically started looking the same, and people were really restricted in the way they could express themselves through their visual customization, and that's not something that we want to do in World of Speed. We want people to be able to express themselves and create whatever liveries they want without having to worry about the way how it affects their performance. Now, this race is almost over, and I will be talking about the performance customization in just a few seconds while this ends. But again, guys, I do encourage everybody to donate to the Extra Life, to the Raptors team. That URL is extra-life.org. Okay, well, we did momentarily lose the stream there for a second. I do apologize for that. We should be back and rolling now. I'm just kind of looking over once the ad finishes. Yep, and we are back. Awesome. So I was talking about the customization in World of Speed, and I'm just going to quickly touch on the performance customization because it is a new take on how customization is done. So typically in racing games, you race, grinding until you have enough money or resources or parts to be able to buy a part, and then you go to the customization options. You go to the end of the list to the most expensive, most badass part, and then you install it, and then boom, you're done. That's not the way it works in World of Speed. We're going to have a non-linear performance customization system, which means that there's not going to be a uber part that's the best and the weakest part. Every part's going to give your car an increase in one area or a decrease in another area. And what I mean by that is if you get a say for example an engine that just gives you a crazy amount of horsepower, then that's going to increase your acceleration and your top speed, but it may also reduce your handling. So it's always kind of how do I want my car to be set up, and what objectives do I want to be going after with this car, and that's kind of really how to determine how you customize your car. Now the cool thing is that in World of Speed, you're going to be able to have multiple versions of the same car. So if you buy a car, you'll be able to create different loadouts for them. So these are essentially different builds for each car. So if you want a car that you want to be your drift car, it's going to be a rear-wheel drive, and you're going to want to customize it with like a ton of horsepower, good acceleration, and maybe tires that have a lot less grip than what you'd want. You can set that up as your drift car. But at the same time, if you just love classic muscles, you want a rear-wheel drive car but also want it to be your car that you use for drafting and maybe knocking people around, you can have a different loadout for that car that's specifically built to kind of go after those objectives. And what we hope the community gets to with allowing you guys different builds and with this customization is that you're going to have a whole garage full of different cars, and each car is going to have a whole bunch of different loadouts depending on what you want to do at that time. If you want to just race solo, then you want to take your high performance car and hit the roads and go. If you want to race on a team and you want to be that guy that's I want to be the guy that's preventing everybody from being able to finish to complete their objectives, then you want something that's going to be a little bit heavy but tuned with a ton of acceleration and giving you the ability to kind of like bump someone off the racing line and then kind of accelerate back into the race quite easily. And it really kind of opens up all types of options with that. I mean, for example, with a nitrous system, you can get like a nitrous system that's got like a long burn but not necessarily gives you a huge amount of top speed, which means that you can stay faster for longer. Or you can get a nitrous bottle that burns really quick but gives you just a crazy amount of acceleration. So it's all going to be about how you tune out your cars. And yeah, I do believe I've been talking for long enough now, so I'm going to take a few questions. I did see one interesting question that caught my eye is World of Speed going to be going into indie competitions in terms of esports? So this is something that the team kind of thought about right from the beginning, right during the design phase of World of Speed. We believe that with the team racing and the kind of new take on the way you race, so not being the first person to cross the finish line, it does kind of give you the ability to create new types of competitions and potentially go into esports. So this is something that we definitely like to pursue. I think after, maybe not at launch, but once we kind of we go through our betas, we get some feedback from the community, we make whatever changes we need to do, we launch the game, and we're committed to supporting this game for years. So we have a whole bunch of post-launch content that we want to do too as well. And hopefully, once that all comes together, we can start doing leagues and competitions and tournaments and just take it from there. Any other questions? Let me go through the chat here. A lot of people are asking when the beta is going to start, so I'm sorry, everyone. We can't say anything other than that it will start sometime during the fourth quarter of this year. I wish I can give you a more specific date, but I can't at this point. What kind of racing modes are there going to be? So during the betas and at launch, we're primarily going to be circuit racing and point-to-point racing with the objectives, the solo objectives and the team objectives. I'm not sure whether we're going to have time trial in there at during the betas or at launch, but that's another mode that we want to add. And drift and drag, those are two modes that are big for us and that we definitely want to add, and that's going to come in post-launch, but it's going to be one of our big priorities for testing. Another question is how did our preliminary alpha test go in the in Russia? So those were really technical tests to test our server infrastructure and other core systems, and they went well. And but we need to do another one with kind of on a larger scale to really kind of stress those systems and put it to its limits. So you're going to see. You're probably going to see another one of those, and at this point I'd like to offer you guys more information about that, but we're still kind of planning that out. Last question before we move on to the next video is what racing game would you compare the handling to? It's a good question. For me, I think it is really kind of its own unique feel. It is an arcade racing, so it's tough to compare it to something, but I would say it's closest to Forza Horizon, like something kind of like that. But you really got to get your hands on it and try it out for yourself, because it's hard to compare it to other games because it is really kind of a unique take on it. So it's not a simulation game. It's not arcade game like pure arcade like Burnout. You're not going to be able to drift at 200 miles an hour, but you will be able to have some fun with it and really kind of push it and be very fast very often. Okay, I'm going to show our last video now, and so this is just a pure solo race on Silverstone, and I will try not to talk too much during this one. I know I keep saying that, but maybe I'll just let you guys watch this one. So here it is. Okay, so I think I've been silent for long enough now. So in this race, they're driving the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. We'll try saying that 5 times fast. Just a beast of a car, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying, that we're going to have the cars that you want to drive in this game. So we've recently announced a few kind of bigger cars. This week we announced that the McLaren F1 is going to be in the game. Last week, a couple weeks ago, was the Ford Mustang GT. And I will give a sneak peek that we do have another car lined up that we're going to reveal, and it's going to be a good one. And the community is going to be pretty psyched about it because they've been asking about it. So one thing that I didn't get a chance to touch on during the team racing video, and I know that we're watching a solo race right now, and I've just kind of let you guys enjoy that, but I want to talk a little bit about the social aspects of the game in terms of, we have a heavy focus on team racing in the game, and we want to let players take that a step further. Like a lot of times people will just kind of create their own guilds or clubs or crews or whatever you want to call them, just them and their friends, and kind of and just race. So what we're doing is we're actually allowing people to create clubs in game, and be able to create the club, recruit players in, manage your players that are in it, and what that will do is not only will it give you a whole bunch of additional perks, like you'll be able to have your club logo, your club colors. You're going to be able to there's a few other ones that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, so that's why I had to cut myself off there. But one thing it will do is it lets you participate in a club exclusive game mode called Territory Wars. Now, if you've been watching some of the signage around, especially in the London track, you'll notice that a lot of the signage has the same color and logo on them, and that's because there is a club that owns that location. So with Territory Wars, there is clubs can battle to own locations in the game, and so when a club owns the location, not only will all the signage in that location be for the club for everybody who plays the game, so even if I'm not part of a club and I log in, and I'm still going to see that this other club owns this location, which is, I think, pretty cool. But when you own a location, it also gives you access to that location's club garage. It's really kind of a cool clubhouse, and you've kind of seen some of those sneak peeks in a lot of the videos that we've released. And there's a whole bunch of perks that come along with that too. So if you own a location, you're going to really benefit from it, and which is why it's kind of really important for you to battle and participate in Territory Wars, and it's kind of an incentive for you to be social and meet other players in the game. So it's actually very cool. So I'm kind of just taking a look over everything that I wanted to talk about today, and I see that I think I've covered most of the points, but I do have some questions lined up that I do want to answer. But before I do that, once again, I want to remind everybody to please be generous. Please be generous and donate whatever you guys can to this charity. It's all for a good cause, and everything goes to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And if you want to donate, the URL is extra-life.org/team/raptor. So definitely so go out there and donate. Now, in terms of questions, so there was one question here: will cars be classified based on their performance? So no, this is something that I touched on near the beginning of the stream, and sorry if you didn't get a chance to hear that, but no, the way cars are going to be classified in this game is based on how everybody talks about them. So if you look at a car and it's, say, the Mitsubishi Evo 10, it's going to be classed under tuners, or say you've got the Mustang, that's going to be under muscle cars. But I do think what you're trying to get at here is will there be any sort of performance classification? And I can tell you, yes, there will be. So every car will have a few different ways to classify it. So there's the type of car that it is, and that's tuners, retro cars, supercars, exotics. Its performance. So there will be a performance scale to tell you how good that car is in terms of its performance, and there's also going to be a few other indicators which I can't go into detail yet, but I will at one point, hopefully in the coming weeks. So yeah, and a lot of that really kind of goes back into the way that you get into races in World of Speed. So obviously we're going to have the quick match where you just hit a button and you choose whether you want to go into a team race or a solo race, and then it just spits you into the most convenient and quickest race you can get into, which is an awesome way to get into racing if you don't have a lot of time. But if you have time, we've also got this calendar event system, which is basically daily, monthly, or daily, weekly, and monthly events that they're always changing based on that. And these are kind of predefined events that either are open or they have certain restrictions on them, such as only retro cars can come in here, or only cars with this performance can participate, or only rear-wheel drives. But it's also got a whole lot of other cool settings, like what time of day it's going to be. Racing at night's always fun, especially on the California track, because if you take some damage to the front of your car and you knock out your lights, you're driving in the dark because there's no lights on that track, and I can tell you that's tough. But there's just going to be a whole bunch of different events, so there's always going to be something to do and always a reason to come in and try something new. And everything that you do, every time you race, it's always going to be it always helps you to progress up until the next level, which is really cool. Um, what inspirations are we using for World of Speed? Um, I'm not sure I quite understand that question, but I think what you mean is like why did Slightly Mad Studios want to go out and build World of Speed? So, this is a studio that's been at it for 10 years. They've got, they're known for creating really high quality racing games, and they're currently, they've got another team working on Project Cars. They've got their central team working on the Madness engine, which is running both World of Speed and Project Cars. But I think they just wanted to create a free-to-play game, especially an arcade racer that would be fun for everybody to come in and play. So, you can log into World of Speed, you can grab a car and go into a race and have a lot of fun with it right away, because it's not punishing, the physics and the way the game's set up. It's not punishing. When you damage your car, you're not going to get performance restrictions. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's what really they kind of just set out to do, is to make a super fun game, and one that's not restrictive in that it is a free to play game, but that doesn't mean that we're going to put anything behind the paywall. So this is something that Andy is, Andy Tudor, our creative director over at Slightly Mad Studios, he's very fond of saying we are not going to put any content behind the paywall. It's cheap, and you will never be in a situation where you find yourself at a disadvantage because someone else has paid. And I think that's that kind of goes back to, we just want to have a game that's fun for everybody to come in and play. I know I've gone 10 minutes past my allotted slot here, but if you guys know me, I love to talk. So I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then I'm going to hand it off for the next stream. A lot of customization questions. So the first one is there nitrous in the game? So if you were watching the last 3 races that we just showed, then you would know, yes, there is most definitely nitrous in the game, and that's kind of a cool option that you're going to be able to play with in the customization system. So will there be prefab body kits or selectable bumpers? I think there's going to be both, really. If you want like just the full set livery, those options are going to be available to you. If you just want to swap individual body parts, you're going to be able to do that as well. Okay. Let me just go through chat here. See if there's any other questions that you guys have for me. Ryu has a question, apparently. Yes, Ryu, the competitive side was answered already. I do apologize if you missed that one. Okay, guys, I don't see any other questions that I haven't answered yet. So let me just there was some questions to the forums that were posted that I'd also like to take this opportunity to answer, since we have everybody's attention. Let me just go through the list here. Oh, maybe our site got hammered with these codes. They're not working. Okay. Okay. Well, if there's no other... Oh, here's a good question. So, about the airfield. So, we, in World of Speed, you're going to be primarily racing on circuits and point-to-point races. There is not going to be any free roam in the game, and the only exception to that is a social area that we're calling the airfield playground. And this is basically an abandoned airfield that a whole bunch of people have turned into a racing playground. Now, in there's going to be a whole lot for people to do. Like we've got the big airplane runway, so people can go out there and try out their cars, and you kind of do makeshift drag races if they want before we add the drag race mode. there's going to be like an obstacle course, and there's going to be tons in there, and you know, I probably shouldn't have even said that at this point. But the question was, are we going to expand the airfield playground? I think, you know, once we get the initial implementation in, it's going to be a matter of kind of looking to the community for guidance on that one, because like I said before, the team, we're committed to supporting this game for years. We think it's going to be a lot of fun for people, and we want to focus on adding more new content to the game. So this would be stuff like new cars, new game modes, new locations, and stuff like that. And obviously, if any ongoing tuning needs to happen, you know, or anything like that, we'll be adding that as well. So it's going to be a matter of priority. You know, if we have this kind of what we think is already really cool, we may choose to focus on adding other content before we expand it. So that's something, maybe ask us in 6 months, you know, type thing. Another question was about music in the game. So we do have a soundtrack in the game, and the question was, will we be able to toggle to the next song or whatnot? I don't know the answer to that question, but I would counter by saying that, yeah, what the cool thing about PC games is that you don't necessarily have to listen to the music that's in the game. You know, you can always open up Spotify or Songza or something like that, or your own media library, and listen to that. But in terms of that functionality, toggling songs, I don't know at this point. I wish I could. Will it be possible to communicate with each other without a separate program like Skype or TeamSpeak? So basically, you're asking, are we going to have integrated VoIP in the game? I'm 99% sure that we will, but this is something that I will have to confirm with the team and post to our forums at a later time. So another question is, will we take user-generated content, so user-created content, and put it in the game? So in terms of, in the specific instance that you just asked, like a car model, no, we will not be able to take a user-created car model and put that in the game. There's just too many licensing issues around that. But in terms of like vinyls and decals and stuff like that, our immediate plan is that we will not have the ability for people to upload their own vinyls right off the get-go. If this is something that the community starts screaming for, then we might make it a priority. But we know there is other ways to go about doing that. Like, we can kind of hold a community contest where I create a vinyl, and then we choose 10 of the best of all the community ones, and then have the team integrate those into the game and put them in on the next patch. So there are ways to do user-generated content, but in terms of like just straight up cars, no, that's probably never going to happen. Vinyls and you know, custom decals, custom liveries, and vinyls maybe in the future. Yeah. Is it possible to get a code? Just pay attention to the chat and go. So what ports need to be unlocked to play the game? So again, we haven't released any details about the minimum specs or technical details like that. That particular instance, what ports need to be open, that is something we will definitely announce probably closer to the first beta, since people need to know to be able to play. Any other questions? Kind of just scrolling through. Okay, guys. I don't see any more questions unless. Okay, so will there be some bonuses on Halloween or New Year's and something like that? So I see where you're getting the inspiration from this, and I think, you know, we definitely want to celebrate holidays, you know, international holidays around the world, and I don't know if we're going to be doing like decorations or anything like that. I think right now what we're really focused on is getting the game finished and ready for beta and into your guys' hand. The type of questions like, you know, are we going to be doing holiday celebrations? I think yes, definitely we're going to be doing something among the community, whether there's going to be something in game or not. That's still to be seen. But again, our priority is to getting this game finished and making it as high quality as it can be before we get into you guys' hands. Any other questions? Can I take a slower car and tune it to be competitive with the supercar? So there are basically a starting point, which is a stock car, and cars will hit a ceiling. So it is semi-realistic in that you should be able to take a car and make it competitive with a much better car. So for example, if you wanted to take a Fiat, you could probably upgrade it to the point where it's competitive with something a lot better. But could you make a Fiat competitive with a Bugatti? No, that's not going to happen. So there will be a finite level of upgrades that you can do to a car until they've just purely capped out and don't get any better. And that kind of goes, this is kind of going back to a lot of the way that one thinks about a racing game. So we've all been playing racing games, for so long that it's really ingrained in our muscle memory, and it's instinctive for us to be for us to want to be the first person to cross the finish line, for us to go to the customization system and want to get the fastest car in the game. And we hope that people, after playing World of Speed for a while, they kind of can get conditioned and learn that being the first to cross the finish line is important, but sometimes it's not necessarily the best thing for you to do for your team. There could only ever be one person to cross the finish line first, so it may be that you can be more beneficial to your team by not trying to go for first and trying to get 3 out of the 4 objectives by yourself rather than being the first to cross the finish line. And it also, taking that example, it may, when you're customizing the performance of your car, it may be a better idea to set it up specifically for a type of racing style or or going after a specific objective with that loadout, rather than just trying to make it go to the biggest and best. I mean, this is, like I said before, this is not going to be a game where we have a list of parts and you just scroll to the bottom to the most expensive part and boom, you're done. It's a non-linear system. Like, you really, you have to play, you have to get the parts, and you have to experiment. We really want people to learn their cars, all the capabilities from stock all the way to their ceiling of performance. And going back to the point that I made before, is we want you to have a garage full of cars and multiple loadouts for each one of those cars. Okay, so we're about a couple minutes away from moving to the next stream, and I think they need to start getting ready. So we do thank you guys for all tuning in. So we are going to try to get this replay uploaded as soon as possible. I have read some comments from people saying that they're already recording the stream and they're going to post it to the forums. If you guys haven't already, head to worldofspeed.com, sign up for the beta. The beta will begin in sometime during the fourth quarter of 2014. Join our community if you want to discuss any of the points that we talked about before. You can join our forums. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter or any one of your favorite social medias. We're always around. We always love to talk with the community about a lot of this stuff. And so we really hope that you join us. And most importantly, we hope that you guys help us support this charity. This Extra Life Gaming Marathon is a great event. It's got a very worthy goal of raising money for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So again, please guys, donate. It's the URL is extra-life.org/team/Raptor. That's RAPTR. Again, guys, this is something that I've been passionate about. I've always wanted to participate in an Extra Life, and I'm very proud to have to come on here and talk with you guys about it, even if it's about World of Speed. It was really cool to come out here, and please show your generosity. And in about 10 minutes, you're going to be joining a live stream from Bethesda, and they're going to be taking you through The Evil Within. So once again, guys, thank you very much. And if you guys want to keep talking about questions and stuff like that, head over to our forums, head over to our Facebook page. And yeah, so thank you guys. Bye-bye.